Hi guys, I'm so happy to make this introduction. I just figured out how to piece things together using InShot. So this is an introduction to a very, very special, very super duper special letter and article that I just wrote or just finished and just gave it to the recipient. And it's just, please, I need your prayers. Okay, this introduction and the letter is about hope in science. Not about expectation, it's about hope. So I would really appreciate your prayers for a successful receipt and received in the spirit that it was sent. And because I sent it with all my heart. And it's about science, as you will see, about physics, about cosmology, and it's dear to my heart. Okay, this is so important to me, and if this is the last video that I ever upload to Bright Eon or YouTube, I want it to be my best, and I want to be full of hope, which is my daughter's name. And so I beg you guys to please pray for the successful receipt and appropriate spiritual response to these scientific, lovely scientific ideas that I'm just about to present to you in a different way. Also in video format, but you're going to be able to read along kind of vaguely because the resolution is so low. But anyways, God bless you guys, and please pray for a positive, beautiful reception of this letter and article that I've written. I love you guys. God bless you guys. Wish me luck and pray for me, please. Okay. The article is entitled TCT, which will be explained below, Antimatter Physics and Elaston Cosmology in a Nutshell. An article written for Dr. Becky Smethurst by me, S.G. Michelle, today, 2021, June 20th. Abstract: The development, motivations, and decisive tests of temporal curvature theory. Our version of antimatter physics and elaston cosmology are covered somewhat chronologically, spanning 40 years of independent, largely ignored research. Does antimatter fall up? The concise answer is, we don't know. The crucial experiments planned for some facilities at CERN are waiting for equipment upgrades. Pay particular attention to the following statement, please. If it turns out that antimatter behaves as normal matter in a gravitational field, such as Earth's gravitational field, that by itself does not invalidate this framework. This will be explained below. During the last 40 years of my independent research into the forerunners of elaston cosmology, there were conceptual insights which led me eventually to the next phase. A good example was my discovery of a fundamental relation between the fundamental unit of angular momentum, h bar, the charge magnitude of an electron or proton, squared, and the impedance of free space, z naught. This discovery happened circa 1993 or 4. I knew intuitively that it had great importance, but could not answer the why until much later. A paper was written a year later or so and submitted to physics essays. I didn't know the reputation of the journal at the time. Kinda did. Not really. I mean, I did, but I didn't. An editor refused my brief submission but commented, interesting, about the relation identified above. Even though my conceptions of the meaning and profundity of the relation were ambiguous and obscured, I was not deterred by that, nor by the journal's negativity toward my brief article. Fast forward to, I believe, last year. At that time, we developed a comprehensive testable, much more testable than the single instance mentioned above, consistent framework for antimatter that asserts testable predictions about antimatter nuclei and antimatter astrophysical phenomena. Note the plural. This is not idle conjecture of a charlatan. This is a coherent framework of comprehensively testable, consistent models of antimatter, antimatter interactions, and theoretical successors. The final reason that elaston cosmology cannot be invalidated by disproving our version of antimatter physics is because that development stands alone. It's not based on antimatter physics, was derived with the accepted methodology of quantum field theory, and merely and simply I was led to elaston cosmology in my search for answers about the big picture and cosmology. In my personal independent research, after exhausting our version of antimatter physics and its consequences or tests, I needed more. A unifying concept that connects the standard model with general relativity. The bridge is elaston cosmology. Concisely, scale-dependent spatial elasticity is proposed. A continuous generation of elastons is proposed to occur ubiquitously, uniformly, at the scale opposite cosmic, in other words, the very small, specifically in response to the spatial tension created by continuous known accepted expansion. The expansion momentum tensions space ubiquitously and uniformly, forcing conversion between tension energy to ubiquitous uniform elaston generation, which allows space to expand. Before we survey decisive tests of elaston cosmology, we need to examine the beginning within our framework. A comprehensive model was developed last year regarding the Big Bang and succeeding epochs. Briefly, I always erroneously assumed that in the beginning there was equal amounts of matter and antimatter generated. Where's the antimatter? If so, we do not detect it. Perhaps in extragalactic strange repellers, you know the references. Remember, this letter is sent to an astrophysicist. You know the references. Maybe that's where the perhaps antimatter resides in the extragalactic strange repellers. We may never know. Instead of wasting time speculating about the whereabouts of possibly extant antimatter that is likely untestable, a notion occurred to me explaining balanced curvature or spatial flatness, baryon asymmetry, and best of all, is coherent with elaston cosmology. We propose that on or at the Big Bang, a certain exact amount of matter was generated, with associated positive spatial, and more specifically temporal in our framework, curvature. The corresponding negative curvature in the balanced creation event was not generated by an equal amount of antimatter, but space-time itself forced by curvature conservation to be ubiquitously imbued on the infant universe. So some new physical laws are obviously proposed along with elaston cosmology. Just like the accepted laws of conservation of momentum and energy, conservation of curvature is a new law which aligns well with accepted laws and incidentally was accepted by a conventional physicist. His name escapes me now. It still does. And I know his face, but not his name. To continue obliviously, the initial negative curvature imbued on the infinite universe did not last forever. We observe near-perfect flatness presently. What happened to it? Well, we propose that the initial negative curvature imbued on the infinite universe, now remember, it's there to balance the matter created with its associated positive curvature, actually drove or forced the inflation epoch. This epoch was characterized by hyperelaston generation. Now you may be suspecting decisive tests of the framework. Each distinct cosmic epoch had a range of elaston generation profiles associated with it. Inflation, hyperelaston generation. Post-inflation, I label a pseudo-rigidon era, where continuously lessening amounts of elastons were generated. Then, as all dynamical systems do, oscillation around some stable point, in this case, flatness. We should be able to observe the telltale signs of varying global spatial curvature based on epochal elaston generation, just as you discussed it with your associate in your videos about a cosmic lensing. Finally, we won't be able to discriminate between global effects already known and well understood and those of epochal elaston generation unless we work collaboratively, as your associate validly testifies in her videos. Why work collaboratively on a fringe, quote-unquote, idea generated by a heretofore me, unknown like me? Because it's the holy grail of physics. If I'm correct, the elaston framework, since it's based on quantum field theory, unifies the previously ununifiable, the standard model and general relativity. I could go on and on about the nuclear and quantum level implications. But since you're an astronomer or astrophysicist, I will not continue about the nuclear scale implications here. Please share with your associates as you see fit. S.G. Michelle, me. So again, this letter is directed, this article / letter is directed at Dr. Becky Smethurst, who has a large following on YouTube, positive following, okay, and they love her because she has this infectious optimism, okay. If there's anything about my perfect woman, it's someone with that quality. Someone who has infectious optimism, but it's genuine, it's authentic. So watch her videos. And if you need to, watch this video over and over again until you really understand it, because it could change everything in physics. It could change everything. So as I asked you in the introduction, please pray. Please pray for a positive reception of this letter / article with Dr. Becky Smethurst. Please pray that it's a positive reception and positive attention is paid to it, and that it catches on like positive wildfire. Okay, that's enough. I love you guys. God bless you guys.